a fine poetic name for something as rotten and twisted as our land has become. It was not always so. Long ago, the old empire, the noblest and most enduring society created by humankind, spanned almost the entire continent of Seren, the cradle of man. But after several millennia of progress and incomparable achievements, inevitably, the empire began to fall into stagnation and decadence. Desperately holding on to their privileges and resisting change while trying to avert the collapse of the realm, the emperor and his theocracy took to measures that were worthy of true despots in cruelty. Subjugating weaker realms, enslaving whole nations, strip mining foreign resources, oppressing imperial citizens, war on several fronts, genocide. Eventually, the gods could no longer tolerate such horrors wrought in their name. Foretold by an abundance of divine omens, they descended upon the empire to right its wrongs. Thus, in a chain of dreadful events that became known as the Calamity, they annihilated the empire in a matter of days. The gods then finally saw what they had done in their anger and confusion. It is said that so much grief and shame filled them that they were broken and they left this reality, never to return. The continent and its inhabitants seemed dead, but at length survivors began to crawl out of their hiding holes and faced a land that no longer welcomed them. Arcane anomalies, the fallout of the Calamity, now riddled the continent, and people realized that they had to share their new home with changed and twisted creatures. Terrible beings entered through the cracks in the tapestry of reality and rose to rule over the natives. In time, these new powers rebuilt the fallen empire in their own image, and the river realms, now godless and vengeful, reincarnated from the ashes. The inhabitants of the land, such as I, now eke out a living under the crushing rule of the new empire. The continent itself constantly resists our every attempt at building a cozy home for ourselves. As travel is dangerous, many ventures specialize in transferring cargo and passengers over bleak and deadly leagues of land. Others try to take everything of value from said travelers, or attempt to find buried treasures among the ruins of the old empire. The leaders of the endeavors are, some say, the bravest men and women of the river realms. Such a leader is called a Vagrus.
Welcome to Vagrus. This is a text-based RPG based on long-form Dungeons & Dragons campaigns. The devs are nice enough to send for a copy, and I covered this last year, the base game. I covered about 30 minutes of the base game last year. I enjoyed it. We never got really around to playing more of it because obviously there's a lot of games on the schedule. But we're going to be doing a lot more of this because there is an expansion pack out now that just dropped. And I figured it was time to dive into it. It's called Sunfire and Moonshadow. It just dropped on November 7th. They were nice enough to send over an early access copy for me to check out. You're seeing this a little later than I'd like to, but like I said, we're in a huge thing for games right now once again. So I'm just having to really consolidate the schedule. I do plan for the next few weeks, though, to have this as a Sunday series. So you're seeing this on Sunday, November 18th. Or 19th, I mean. And you'll see this every Sunday for the next few weeks. So, yeah, let's dive into it. We're going to go into a new game. Because, I mean, I have not played this in a year. We're going to play in Wasteland mode, which is the way Vagrus was intended to be played by the developers. Nothing beside remains around the decay of that colossal wreck. Boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away.
Ah, yes, a Vagrus. What a profession. Daring and savvy, always watching the horizon, always looking for an opportunity, and of course, for what is best for his comitatus, eh? And you are a Vagrus too, are you not? Many of your kind have I seen in my long life as a vagabond. Care to listen to a story about your exquisite occupation, good master? It is a tale of woe and terror, but it is also a tale that is true, as I have seen it with mine own eyes. Wise you are, good master. My tale is of a Vagrus, such as yourself, but one whose fate was cursed and wrought with ill fortune. It all happened a long time ago. 10 years, maybe more. I was but a passenger, traveling rough roads and forgotten ways of this comitatus, south along the feet of the great mountains of the west. This comitatus I speak of had fallen under hard times. Perhaps it was due to imperial harassment or unfortunate decisions, or simply bad luck. Irafrons, saint of roads, does not always smile on us mere mortals. But however it came to pass, their coin was drying up, and their opportunities seemed few and far between. One of the last chances their Vagrus saw was to travel to the remote town of Scrapheap and spend their remaining funds to stock up on cheap scrap metal. This metal could be sold for great profit over in the east and south. It wasn't a bad plan, truly, but it was not without
Welcome to
risks
Pilgrim to the Wasteland,
either.
a standalone story of Vagrus the Riven realm. It serves as an introduction to the setting and also as a tutorial to the game. It behooves you to read the tutorial text and follow the instructions to gain a better understanding of how the game works. The map icon can be clicked in tutorial windows to show with the pointer icon, I guess. What the section is referring to via a pointer. Note that you have to be on the right UI screen for that pointer to appear. Although Vagrus is an open world game, due to Pilgrim to the Wasteland being a tutorial, it progresses along a narrow guided path in the beginning, and only opens up later, after the core mechanics have been introduced. On the campaign map, your comitatus, your traveling company, always occupies a node, and moves between nodes through paths. Moving along paths cause movement points indicated next to each path. Every in-game day you have a number of movement points to spend before you need to camp. To move, click on a nearby node and select Move from the radial menu. You can select the node that is farther away. The MP cost of moving there will be calculated in the path highlighted. Move to Scrap Heap. Having gone ahead of the column with a handful of scouts... Oh, there's a thing down here first. Let's read that first. Most of the story is presented through interactive text called events. Events let you make different choices at each step. Some choices can have a number of consequences, while others have various dependencies. Dependencies mean that you can only pick a certain choice if you have the right prerequisite. Skills, perks, characters, and so on. To select a choice, click on it or use 1 through 9 to select the one you like. Navigate this event to its end. Having gone ahead of the column with a handful of scouts, you watch from afar as your comitatus slowly trudges along broken terrain, making its way south ponderously among dormant geysers. All around you, the hills smolder lazily in the perpetual twilight. Are you alright? Javek's voice resonates with sympathy as he appears next to you on the ridge. You nod slowly, but do not look at him. Your gaze lost in the distance where ash close to the horizon and the towering mountains to the south and west. You turn to your comes, I guess that's how you say it, and note his supportive smile. You and Javek have been traveling the realms together for years now. There is no person in the world you trust more than him, except perhaps yourself. I know you feel that your hands are tied, but like I said before, you made the right choice by leading us here. We have these 4 choices. There wasn't much of a choice, either this or returning my trading license and hanging myself. It has to work. We cannot fail, not like this. You glance at Javek and notice the worried look he's giving you. You turn away back to the horizon. No reason to be crestfallen yet. We just stick to the plan. Why should it not work? Your friend says cheerfully. Oh, ye of faith. You know that there could be hundreds of reasons, but do not feel like reminding him. I mean, optimism is the best medicine right now, right? Yes, the plan. It might work. Yes. The plan. You talked to your traveling company of this a few weeks ago, but with each step toward the western mountains, more and more of them have started to have doubts. Such is the way of the road, perhaps. The plan involves a desperate attempt at squeezing a low selling price for metal bits out of an old contact of yours in the town of Scrap Heap, stocking up on said metal by spending your remaining coin and bringing the cargo down south toward around the Molten Tongue to Devin via Avernum and Ash. There is a shortage of metal in Devin, and you know several buyers who would give a pretty price for your goods if you can only make it there before many others with a similar cargo do. Such contacts are the boon of the long decades spent on the road. But even if Narvo, that villain, gave you an agreeable price in Scrap Heap, the road is not without its perils. Sneaking through the gap between the Dead Forest and the Molten Tongue is inviting disaster, so it is not a path that many Vagrus would risk. And of course, if this fails, we're out of alternatives. Do you think Narbo would help us out? The old scavenger was never famous for his goodwill, Javek wonders. When text in an event is highlighted pale blue, you mean you found a codex entry. Clicking these opens the codex and navigates you to the entry. So let's go to Avernum. Holy dingus. The codex is a collection of entries you can find throughout your travels. Entries contain information about the world and its inhabitants. When you have unread entries, the crystal on the cover of the codex emanates light. Entries are displayed in a list on the left. You can search entries and filter them by category using the buttons on the top. Unread entries are marked by a blue icon and appear on top, while already read entries have a gold icon. The text of the selected entry appears on the right. You can close the codex now and continue your journey. Okay. So we have three choices here. Let's see. I'm not going to read all three of these out loud. I want to kind of read them myself and pick one together. I'll read the one that I choose out loud. That's kind of how we're going to do this in this playthrough. He has to help us out. He won't be able to pass up the opportunity to make us indebted to him. Even the thought of selling yourself out in such a way makes you feel dirty. These are dark times. They call for desperate deeds, but such thoughts make me uncomfortable, to be honest. Javek rubs his chin absent-mindedly. You've seen this expression of his too often not to realize he is using his sorcerer's talent to read your mind. Taking a peek. Apologies. Javek rubs his eye quickly and looks away. You know how it is. It comes to me so naturally that sometimes I don't notice I'm doing it. Your thoughts were loud, Vagrus. I have to actually block them, you see. After joining your Chromatatus 6 years ago, Javek proved to be an invaluable asset. Not only does he sense moods and thoughts around him, but he's also able to subtly manipulate others when he focuses his energies. It comes in handy when doing business. Then there are his other perks. A few times you saw him shatter the minds of men and beasts who tried to kill him. Not a pretty sight, but a very effective deterrent. Yet, because he is not a trained sorcerer, at least not in the traditional sense, his abilities are sometimes difficult to control. You become accustomed to his impromptu thought scans, while others find it less bearable to be around him. For this reason, he has kept his abilities a secret for many years overall, but you cannot keep a secret such as this for long in the close-knit community of Comitatus, especially not if you keep bursting minds and knowing these things you shouldn't. There are only a handful of your comets who put up with being near him for any length of time. But even so, he's not probed your mind in years, certainly not on purpose, but neither by accident. Perhaps he's less in control now, which suggests he's more on edge about this whole trip than he lets on. Just make sure it doesn't happen again, you grumble as you start to make your way down the ridge and back to the column. A long day of travel awaits you. Both of you head west to join the column.
As we were coming up to the gates of Scrap Heap, this trash pile town of cutthroats and scavengers, we could see the vast mountain ranges of shattered Bivandar Thar looming ominously over the horizon, half shrouded in the gaseous vapors belched forth by the volcanoes in the far west. My companions prepared to do their business in town as fast as they could, not wishing to tarry in this notorious place.
When a Comitatus enters a settlement, you can select from a variety of options, each on its separate pane. revolving around resting, resupplying, and trading. You also have the opportunity to initiate stories located in the settlement. This time only the story pin is active. Follow the only available story. You make your way to the Rat's Stash, or the Wraith's Stash, a notorious watering hole tucked away in a small street, just beneath the imposing tower of the Heap King, but not quite under its immense shadow. Few frequent the establishment, which makes it perfect for Narbo and his little operation of honest merchants. Apparently the knave is not only alive, but has done well for himself in the now past decade or so. Taking only Javek, you leave the Comitatus to the care of your Titus, your quartermaster, while you were gone negotiating. Ashes flitting from the black sky as you cross the street and nod to the bouncer of the Wraith's Stash. You give him your sidearms quietly. Rules are rules, at least as long as they can enforce them. Yet they have the courtesy of allowing you to keep your dagger. And of course they have no idea what Javek is capable of should it come to a scuffle. No, not that you expect such a thing, but with Narbo no one ever knows. Though you have told your crew that he and you go way back, the entrepreneur was a capricious and manipulative man with whom you did not part on the best of terms. So you remember that? Surely. Could he be persuaded to take your proposal? Who knows? Your eyes slowly adjust to the dimness of the tavern's interior. Only a few candles and a lamp at the bar illuminate the common room. Shadowy faces turn towards you and observe you through the smoke. The bartender, a thick-set man in a dirty tunic, is chewing tobacco serenely. Above the bar hangs the skeleton. Good Lord. Above the bar hangs the skeleton of a large heapless lizard on display. Narbo is sitting at a table in the back, his bodyguard half hidden in the darkness at the wall behind him. The entrepreneur looks up from a stack of papers and rubs his eyes. Narbo is a corpulent man with a bushy dark beard and a few missing teeth. Part of his face is covered in scars similar to those left by old Burn. That, coupled with the withered and mutilated left arm that hangs limply at his side, is a clear indication of the taint. The merchant wears a leather jerkin studded with small bronze and bone coins, a sign of wealth and boldness. His bodyguard, a lithe man with tribal tattoos and an outfit made of leather, moves his hand calmly to a spear that leans against the wall. Narbo's mouth falls open as a spark of recognition flares up in his eyes. No wonder, it has been 10 years.